where the rivalries run deep and every Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Wil McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest, bringing you real talk and weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the Black and Blue division. So whether you rep green and gold, Honolulu blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
What's going on, Will McCann? Hey, friends and kinfolk, we thank you for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. When Will and I are not talking football, we are real estate agents in the state of Michigan. So if you know of anyone that is thinking about selling, buying, or investing in the next 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, hit us up for a winning game plan in real estate. Will McCann, let's get into it.
Hey, let's talk about these Green Bay Packers. One of the oldest franchises in the NFL. This franchise is over 100 years old. Had some legendary players. The winningest franchise in the NFL. They have the audacity to call their city Titletown. And my man Zach McCann over in Chicago is over there with a big smile today, repping his green and gold, sitting in the city of Chicago, giving them folks over there a hard time constantly. So yeah, man, it was exciting going back, man, looking at the history of these Green Bay Packers, man, because as I think about the Packers myself, man, they growing as I'm growing up in the 70s, it was between eras for them. During the 70s and 80s, the Packers really weren't very good. They had been great in the 60s, great in the early part of the 1900s. And then in the 70s and 80s, they weren't very good at all. Then they hired Mike Holmgren and it turned that franchise around. So yeah, it'd be fun today breaking down looking back at the Green Bay Packers. All right, so here we are with the Green Bay Packers, one of the legendary franchises in the NFL, been in existence for over 100 years, 105 seasons that they've had, the Green Bay Packers. They've won over 800 games. They are the winningest franchise in the NFL. And it was interesting as I looked at this, they have made the playoffs 28 times. And if you remember last week when we looked at the Minnesota Vikings have only been in existence since 1961, but they've made the playoffs 32 times. So, the Packers were interesting as I was a kid coming up, man. In the 70s and 80s, they were never very good, right? So they went 2 decades not being very good. They had all those legendary teams early in the 1900s, in the 1960s, and then in the 90s when they got Mike Holmgren, they became good again. But they went a long stretch where they didn't win the division, weren't making the playoffs. And that's reflected in the number of playoff appearances they've had. Now, if you look at the number of playoff victories they've had, they've certainly had quite a few of those. 4 Super Bowls and 5 appearances, 13 championships. And a lot of you youngsters probably don't know that the winningest coach in Green Bay Packers history is not Vince Lombardi. The guy with the most championships in Green Bay Packer history is not Vince Lombardi. It is the legendary Curly Lambeau, after whom the stadium is named Lambeau Field, and he has over 212 wins. See the great Brett Favre, who I believe when he retired was the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards. Certainly the Packers' all-time leader in with over 61,000. He had 442 touchdowns. He's also the all-time leader in Packers history in interceptions, but we're not going to discuss that today. We're staying positive. Ahman Green is the all-time leading rusher for decades. It was Jim Taylor, and Ahman Green passed Jim Taylor early in the 2010s. Ahman Green was running for the Packers, and then Donald Driver is the all-time leader in yards, and Mason Crosby is the all-time leader in points scored. And we're not going to mention that Mason Crosby missed a field goal in an NFC Championship game that cost them. We're not going to mention those things either because we're staying positive today.
That's right.
So tell me, Kel, what are some of the things you remember about the Green Bay Packers?
I remember that 1996 season when they went 13-3, won the Super Bowl
Mhm.
against my hated rivals, the Patriots. So
That was before Brady even got there, man.
it
Brady
was
was still at Michigan at the time.
it was before Brady got there, but Bledsoe did his best by throwing 4 interceptions.
Bledsoe helped them out, that's for sure. Because, and I won't say it was a close game, but there was not a wide margin. I think it may have been double digits, but it wasn't 2 touchdowns, if I remember correctly.
Now
But yeah, Bledsoe definitely helped them out with those 4 picks.
yeah, it was 35-21.
And so it was 14. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it was a
yeah,
two
yeah,
touchdown game.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I remember that season and just they were on a run and Brett Favre was doing his thing and uh, yeah, that was a memorable season for me. What about
Yeah.
you?
Really, and it's interesting that you say that. As I look at this thing, there wasn't one that really stuck out to me, and I think because in the '90s, I was a Lions fan, right? And the fact
Okay.
that they were in the division doing the Lions dirty, you know, and I had because as a kid I grew up more I had more of a connection with the Minnesota Vikings because I saw them more. They were on TV more. They were in
Mhm.
the playoffs more. So when the Packers came along and those things, I had an appreciation for Brett Favre and what he was doing. And John Madden just loved Brett Favre, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I liked Brett Favre. I liked the way he played. I loved Mike Holmgren, and I liked the job that Holmgren had, and I liked watching the resurgence
right,
of the Packers. The renaissance of the Packers, if you will.
right, right. And
So
I
that
think
was fun
that
for me to watch, but I didn't have a, particular team. But it was Mike Holmgren as the coach. When he came in as the coach, Ron Wolf as the GM, and those two building that team, them being able to go and talk to Reggie White after Wayne Fonts had gone to Reggie White's house and talked to him.
mhm,
Mike Holmgren went in, and Reggie made the decision to go to Green Bay instead of going to Detroit with Barry Sanders.
right.
So, and I think that made a difference there. There was another free. Favre wasn't a free agent, but they made the trade with Atlanta to get Brett Favre when they had Don Majkowski, who had been an All-Pro, who had got injured, and Mike Holmgren saw something in Favre and went and got Favre and brought him in, and that changed the franchise around. So that's what I remember: the Mike Holmgren years, not necessarily a team in
Not
that.
necessarily the team. Yeah, and
Right. Right.
I think part of the reason why that season stands out for me is because it had ended almost or nearly a 30-year drought for them for championships. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you were talking
And
about a little bit earlier how they were, running the league in the
yeah.
60s, and then
Yeah.
there was just this drought where
Yeah.
nothing was happening for them. But yeah, that season that really kind of turned me on to the Packers.
Okay, okay, cool. And they've been good ever since, right? They've
Yep.
been a model franchise. They look more like the franchise that they were in the 60s and prior,
Right.
than they did those post years. And it's interesting to me that after they won the second Super Bowl, which was their third consecutive NFL championship, because they won the first two Super Bowls and they had won the NFL championship the year before. Uh, Lombardi resigned. Lombardi knew that he had gotten all out of that team that they were going to get, and they were going to be rebuilding, and he wanted no parts of what that was going to come with, right?
Right.
My
Right.
man broke him. So yeah, let's talk about some of the all-time legendary players for the Green Bay Packers, and there have been many. We were talking as we started with the Lions and then went through the Vikings that there were some positions we felt like we were gonna. Some positions were just easy because there just weren't very many players. And as we got to the Packers, there was going to be a more difficult time because there were so many players. And yeah, it turns out they have a rich history, man, with I think just the number of players they've had who have made the Pro Bowl um, or have been all pro. I think the Lions had 121, the Vikings had 116, and the Packers have 163, right? So rich history with a lot of good teams with a lot of good players.
Yeah,
And
I'm
we're
really interested to see. how we come out with the offensive defensive line situation because man,
Yeah, there
some of
were
those positions they were going deep with
some
the
of them were
legends.
really deep. I went, yeah, man. Yeah, I ran into some of those. It'll be interesting. I know you were kind of joking last week when we talked about the Vikings, how we kind of had this trend where you were more new school and I was more old school. It'll be interesting to see how much that trend continues this week.
Right, right.
All right, so let's start. Let's break it down, starting with the offense, starting with the wide receivers. Who do you have at wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers?
Well, I'm gonna throw up three so we can kind of talk through them. But you already got Donald Driver up there, James Lofton, and Sterling Sharp are the three I'm throwing up there. So you got others that you want to throw in the conversation?
I mean, conversation. I think they got a lot who could be in the conversation, right?
Right.
I think Devontae Adams is in that conversation.
He's in the
I think
conversation.
I think Greg Jennings is in the conversation.
Yep. Jordy Nelson is in the conversation.
Jordy Nelson would be at the end of that conversation, but yeah, I think he's in that conversation. And then I was laughing because these are names you've probably never heard of. Max McGee was the MVP of the first Super Bowl. He's a legend in that organization. Boyd Dowler was the main receiver on those 60 teams. And Don Hudson was called the greatest receiver to play in the NFL. I think he may still hold, well, I don't think he still does, but I think he was the first receiver to get to 100 touchdowns. And he did that like in the 40s, right?
I was
So
about to say, when was this?
don't to me, I was gonna say those guys are all eliminated to me because of when they played,
They
right?
played in a different era.
They played in a completely different era. But when you look at Hudson's numbers, for him to have played in that era and have the numbers he did, you would not think that guy played in the 40s. You'd have said he played in the 80s looking at his numbers. But yeah, of those three that you mentioned, Donald Driver, James Lofton, Sterling Sharp, that is a difficult three. And, I was going to say that we're going to have some Hall of Fame players who are going to be left off this list, right?
Correct.
Don, right away, Don Hudson is the first, right?
Yep.
Because he's not going to be on this list. And to me, even though Donald Driver is the all time leader in receiving yards,
Hmm.
Sterling Sharp and James Lofton were better football players to me. So those were the two I had on my list.
Yeah, those are the two I have highlighted for me. James Lofton, just, when deep threat comes to mind, that name should pop up for you. Over 14,000 career yards. He's second in Packers history behind Donald Driver. But Sterling Sharp, this dude had a triple
Yeah,
crown in 1992. Led the
yeah.
league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. His numbers would be astronomical if he didn't end up with the neck injury.
Had he not gotten injured, right?
So, so those
Lions
two,
fans, Lions fans still see Brett Favre floating to his left, running away from pressure, throwing the ball to the opposite pylon, nailing Sterling Sharp for a touchdown to beat the Lions in a playoff game. The Lions fans still see that memory.
yeah,
But yeah, I that's why I have Sterling Sharp ahead of Donald Driver. Also, didn't play as long. Numbers are not quite as good, but impact. I just think Sterling Sharp and James Lofton were both better players. James Lofton was a ridiculous athlete. The count today is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a tall James Lofton.
hmm.
All right, and moving on to tight end. Who do you have at tight end?
All right, so I'm gonna give you four names, and we can go down it and figure out who we want to throw in here. But I got Paul Kaufman,
Mm-hmm.
Ron Kramer, Bubba
Okay.
Franks and Jermichael Finley.
Oh, you went with Jermichael Finley, huh?
That's right. That's right. So
And see, I
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Kaufman of the tight ends has 39 career touchdowns for the Packers, right?
Yeah,
That's a hard number to beat. As you
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah,
322 receptions, over 4,200 yards receiving
mm,
as a tight end during
yeah,
the 70s and
yeah.
the 80s. That's those are incredible numbers. Jermichael Finley, however, he was a deep threat for the Packers, ranked second in franchise with the receiving yards,
Mm.
and he was a key target for Rodgers in the Super Bowl. So
Him getting
again,
down the seam for Aaron Rodgers was big impact for their
right,
offense, man.
right. So I'm leaning those two. What's your take?
You know, I didn't have Finley on my list, even though I think he's in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Bubba Franks, I definitely had as one of my guys, and I
Hmm.
think Mark Chmura, who
Okay.
was
Yep.
Brett Favre's guy, who kept things, moving in the middle of that offense. Um, I thought had great impact, and you're right, Finley, not Far, Rogers to Finley, man, going up the seam. To me, Finley was more big receiver than tight end, right?
Okay.
He wasn't a guy who in addition to being able to get up the seam, he wasn't setting the edge on the in the run game the way I think some of those other guys were, especially Bubba Franks and Paul Coffey and Chimura as well. So I had a tough time between Franks and Coffey, but I think I kind of leaned to Paul Coffey.
Okay.
I mean Kaufman. Kaufman.
Kaufman. Yeah. That's where I was leaning.
All right, cool. Now let's move on to offensive line. Who do you have on your offensive line or your offensive tackles? Let's talk tackle.
So rich history, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm just gonna throw out my two, and then you can throw out yours, and we can debate it. David Bakhtiari,
Okay.
Chad Clifton.
Okay.
You see the trends continuing, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Clifton is definitely in the discussion, man. And I can understand why you would choose Chad Clifton. And Chad Clifton would definitely be the second guy if Forrest Gregg had never played for the Packers.
Look, I don't have a problem with Forrest Gregg. He was probably the best offensive lineman in NFL history, right?
In his era, and yeah, he
In
was
his
probably the
era.
best offensive lineman in his era. I would agree
Because
with
he played from 56 to 1970, right?
you. Yes,
So nine-time Pro Bowler, seven-time first team All-Pro.
yes,
He was just an Iron Man, 188 consecutive games. He is a legend, right?
yes.
But Tellis Everett has never seen this man play. So,
Ooh,
but
I'm
he
going to
could be
say
on the
this.
list.
I've never seen Forrest Gregg play either,
He can be
but
on the list.
among those other numbers, and all of that is definitely on his resume, man. And all five of Lombardi's trophies, his championships, came with Forrest Gregg on his team, man. I
Right.
cannot disrespect Forrest Gregg's accomplishments. To me, Chad Clifton's accomplishments, as good of a player as he was, his accomplishments just don't compare enough to Forrest Gregg.
Hmm.
Even though, Lance, we're gonna have to say this, man, because I'm still mad about this. Um, Even though Alan Page didn't make the team for the Minnesota Vikings last week, um, John Randall and Pat Williams' performance were at least close enough. to Alan Page, even though neither one of them ever was league MVP. But their overall performance was at least close enough that I could see taking one of those guys over Page. But to me, Clifton's accomplishments just aren't close enough to Greg's.
Sure, sure, sure. So we got Forrest Gregg. Who else we throwing on there?
I agree with you with Bakhtiari. I agree with you
Okay.
with Bakhtiari over Clifton.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. And let's talk about the guards.
So with the guard situation, I'm gonna help you out here. I'm gonna go with Jerry Kramer.
Yeah.
Uh,
And who's
but
your other guy?
my other guard, I was looking at Josh Stinton
Okay.
as my other guard, but the reason why Kramer, if you're a Packers fan, you know that Kramer is probably the most famous guard in NFL history.
Yes.
Five-time Pro Bowler, the only guard on the NFL's 50th anniversary team,
Yes.
and a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
So he's got some accolades there.
And they ran behind him in the famous Ice Bowl game at the
Correct.
goal line on 4th and goal. Ran the ball behind Kramer for the touchdown.
Hmm.
And then there are two guys who to me were in consideration. Uh,
Okay.
Jerry Kramer played with Forrest Gregg on those teams in the '60s. So did another guy who was a good football player, who was a four-time Pro Bowler, who I have to mention just because he's also on my all-name team, and that's Fuzzy Thurston.
Uh,
And
yeah,
another,
the two of them together created the power sweep, right?
yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, absolutely. It was because of Kramer and Thurston that they were able to run that power sweep, either left or right, because either guard could pull. And another guy who I think is in consideration, also because he's on my all-name team, and that's Buckets Goldberg.
It's Goldberg. He's in the wrong
Now,
sport.
now, right. Fuzzy Thurston, I at least know about because he played, like you said, with Kramer. And but Goldberg played back for Curly Lambeau. I have no idea who that guy was. Just as I'm looking up, I saw that name. I'm like, yeah, he would be on my all-name team.
Right,
But
right.
the other guard I had was a guy who played in front of Favre. His
Okay.
name was Marco Rivera.
Oh,
Marco
okay.
Rivera was a beast. As a road grader and as a pass protector in front of Brett Favre. So I went with Jerry Kramer and Marco Rivera.
Nice. I like it. I like it.
And then center. Who do you have at center?
Center. Yeah. Let's throw some names out there. It's a list. Ja- Jim Ringo, Frank Winters, Charlie Brock, Larry McCarron, and Corey Lindsey. I'm gonna leave this to you, man.
I I don't think you can go any place but Jim Ringo, man. You can. I'm
Yeah.
not going. I'm not going to disrespect the Hall of Famer. Okay, he played. That would be three of the. That would be yeah, three. No, that's four of the five starting offensive linemen for those Packers team are on our list, and we left Thurston off because I just thought Rivero had more accomplishments, but
Right, right.
Thurston was every bit the player, right? But yeah, and just to give it some recency bias, that's why I bring Rivera in. But no, Rivera is definitely well deserving. But I don't think there's anybody, man. Talk about Iron Man, who played center. Jim Ringo was just a beast, man. That's why those Packers teams were great. You see, it's right there in the offensive line. They got uh, three Hall of Famers on their offensive line, man. You can't beat an offensive line like that.
Yeah, you're talking about the early Lambeau era where, again, we're talking about the power sweep. Jim Ringo's part of that as well.
Yes,
17, seven-time, first-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
again, when we talk about these football teams, he always mentioned it, the players that are closest to the ball are going to dictate the legacy for you.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. That's why that team won 5 championships. Like I said,
Right.
their all-time team really would consist of that entire offensive line. Or I'll say it this way: if their all-time team was that entire offensive line, you really couldn't debate it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and then let's move to running back. And who do you have as your running back?
I'm leaning Ahman Green. I got Aaron Jones on the list, um, but Ahman Green's my guy.
I hear you, and it's hard not to have Ahman Green on that list. He is the franchise's all-time leading rusher. But man, I had Jim Taylor
Okay.
and I have Paul Hornung, man.
All
I
right.
again I have both of those guys. I think when you look at numbers, Green's numbers are better. But Jim Taylor is second all time in rushing on the team, and he shared carries with Paul Hornung, who was a league MVP for the Packers. And it's hard for me because both of those guys are Hall of Famers. Again, it's just hard for me to disrespect Hall of Famers. Uh,
Hmm.
I can disrespect Ahman Green more than I can the Hall of Famers, right? But I think he's the all-time leading rusher on the team. So you definitely can't disrespect the guy. He's definitely in the discussion. Another guy who I remember who played in the '80s, and again he would be on my all-name team. Also, a lot of the guys on the Packers, and his name is Eddie Lee Ivory. It was always what's his name, Chris Berman on ESPN.
Hmm.
Used to always have these nicknames he would give guys, and he didn't have to give him a real nickname. He just changed the cadence. He just always called him Eddie Lee and Ivory.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's always like that, man. But yeah, I've got Jim Taylor and Paul Hornung. When we get to merging our teams, I, depending on how strong you feel about Ahman Green, I might be willing to you know what, man. Another thing, I can't take him out over Paul Hornung because Paul Hornung was the kicker on those teams. So that guy was an all-pro kicker and running the football as a league MVP. Then again, you might have to take him down a peg. Well, I take that. I was going to say you got to take him down a peg because he got suspended for gambling. But we had my man for the Lions. What was the Lions defensive tackle? Can't think of my man's name. But yeah, the Lions defensive tackle got suspended the same year for the same thing. So. And we had him on our list. So
So where are we leaning at with the with the backs?
so right now, we're moving on. Right now, we're at right. We've got Taylor, Horning, and Green in the discussion right now.
Okay.
All right, and then quarterback. Oh man, I never changed that out. Corrected the spelling on Brett Favre's name. I can see that now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
who do
right.
you have
So
as quarterback?
all right. So you got three. For me, I got three legends up there. You got Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and Bart Starr.
The three Hall of Famers.
Look, I'm gonna have to go with Favre.
Mm.
Um, just he was that quarterback that brought the team back to relevance.
Yes,
Right,
it was
right.
him. Yes,
So
yes.
that was important. Uh, 297 consecutive games. First player to win three consecutive NFL MVPs. So he for all his faults as a human being, as a quarterback, you wanted this guy in your locker room.
Yes,
So
you did. Yes, you
that's where I'm
did.
leaning. What about you?
You wanted that guy on your team, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to go against him. And isn't Aaron Rodgers is a four-time MVP, a future Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Uh, Favre's already a Hall of Famer. Bart Starr is a Hall of Famer. It's hard to keep uh, to you're really splitting hairs with
You
those
really are.
three, right? And this would be one of those, man, where and when we get to the end, I will say I picked Bart Starr. I chose Bart Starr because of the pelts he has on the wall, right?
Hmm.
For all of his accomplishments, Favre only won the Super Bowl once, only, as if that, isn't anything, right? But and he won the only one, and he won the NFC Championship one other time. I'll say it that way. Right?
Hmm.
So, and he played on some pretty good teams, right? He
Right.
played and I think he lost the NFC Championship game three times, or played on teams that lost the NFC Championship game three times. Um, and the same with Aaron Rodgers, right?
I was gonna
I
say we're talking about these two legends, and Aaron Rodgers is clearly a a third, right?
yes, yes.
Where if he's on any other team, if he played for any other team, he might be the number one
It wouldn't be a
quarterback,
discussion. You wouldn't
right?
even be having this discussion if Rodgers was with a different franchise, right?
Exactly, exactly.
That's how good that guy is. So yeah, I don't even say any more about Rodgers, right?
Right.
But again, because he only made the Super Bowl once and he lost the
Yep,
NFC Championship game two other times. I just
exactly.
have to lean towards Starr because of his pelt on the wall. But again, this is one of those, man, where if we're having this discussion at the barbershop and somebody say Brett Favre or Bart Starr, I
Hmm.
would say you take the guy you want and I'll take the other guy. All
Right,
right, just move. Let's move on. All right, that ain't even
right,
worth me discussion. I like both of those guys so much, right?
right, right. So just so that I just want to throw this out there. Jordan Love, you're in the discussion if you win one championship. Because we're talking about Favre and Rodgers being in contention with Starr, but each of them only won one championship.
they only,
Jordan Love,
they
you
only
need
put
just
one belt
one
on the wall.
championship
Yeah.
to be in the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers.
So what Tellis is always turning up the heat under your seat, Jordan. I don't know why, man. He's just reminding you that you're not getting it done, man. So hey,
That's right.
we need
You
you to
got
step it up, bro. We
you
need you to
got
step
one
it
year
up.
left, brother.
Oh, he's telling you you might get Kyler Murray, man. So
Exactly. Exactly.
all right, let's move on and talk about the defense. There are some guys here who were players as well. Let's start with the defensive ends. Who do you have as your defensive end?
Well, you know I'm going with Reggie White.
The Minister of Defense has to be on the list.
He's got to be up there. So, and then I'm going with Ezra Johnson,
Okay.
speed rusher. Um, I mean, before they were counting sacks officially, I mean, he's probably got like over 200 sacks or
That
something.
dude could come off the edge. I was saying that their teams weren't very good in the 70s and 80s. That dude was making Pro Bowls year after year playing for those Packers teams.
Right. And then Willie Davis is up there too. So, I mean, we can have a discussion about that, but Reggie Johnson and Ezra Johnson, or Reggie White and Ezra Johnson are my two.
And again, I'm going to choose the Hall of Famer over Ezra Johnson.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Willie Davis. I know Davis played a long time ago, but on the defense of those championship teams, Davis was just a beast, man. And even though I actually saw Ezra Johnson play, I didn't see Willie Davis play. I saw Ezra Johnson play. And that dude was a beast coming off the edge, like you said,
Hmm.
before they were counting sacks. So yeah, he's definitely in that discussion, man. But yeah, I went with Willie Davis and Reggie White.
No complaints there. Hall of Famer, five-time All-Pro, five-time
Yeah.
NFL champion. So no complaints.
All right, let's talk about defensive tackle. To me, this one was, I was surprised that there weren't more defensive tackles um, that were legends for the Pack.
Okay. Well, give me yours. Let
I
me hear what you
had both a couple of old guys, Henry Jordan
got.
and
Okay.
Robert Brown.
Okay. I was going Henry Jordan and Gilbert Brown as well.
No, I had Robert Brown, not
Robert
Gilbert
Brown?
Brown. Yeah,
Oh, I had Gilbert Brown.
Gilbert Brown.
Hey, nose tackle, the grave digger.
Whew, that was a large human being, man. I laughed because somebody made a joke, man. I hate to repeat it, but it was just too funny. Do you remember the Super Bowl in Detroit?
Yeah.
You remember the legendary Aretha Franklin sang the
Hmm.
national anthem?
Right, right.
Somebody, I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody posted singing the national anthem yesterday. Was that Aretha Franklin or Gilbert Brown?
Uh, oh man.
So whenever I hear his name, that just comes back to me, man. That guy was, do you remember Dominic Raiola for
Yeah.
the Lions?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do not know why Steve Mariucci, three straight plays, first and goal from the one, tried to have Dominic Raiola block Gilbert. It's like, yeah, do that again. Yeah, do that again. Gilbert Brown was like 350. Dominic Raiola was listed at 295. He
Right.
probably was closer to 285 and could do nothing with that man. Yeah, he
Oh,
was a large human being. BJ Raji was another guy who played with the Aaron Rodgers team, who
right.
was, big in the middle of their line, who was in consideration. I just thought Robert Brown was more accomplished than
Okay.
both. That's why I had him on the list. And then at linebacker, who do you have on your list?
Linebackers, I got Ray Nitschke and AJ Hawk.
Ray Nitschke, and you got AJ Hawk.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
So you
So
only
Ray
had two.
Nitschke, we talked about it, the Vince Lombardi teams. They were just stacked, right?
Yes, yes,
Offense and defensive side. He's a Pro Bowl Hall of Famer. Uh, just five-time champion.
yeah,
So just like we were saying earlier, you can't. It's hard to keep these Hall of Famers off of the list,
right,
right?
right.
Right. So, but others on my list: Clay Matthews, Dave Robinson, those two. But I was going AJ Hawk.
Okay. I had Nitschke on my list also. Dave Robinson was one of the other guys I had on my list.
Hmm.
The other guy I had was Fred Carr. I thought Fred Carr was, even though Hawk is definitely in the discussion to me, uh,
Hmm.
um, Matthews, Matthews is, even though he was listed as a linebacker, he was one of those edge rushers. Um, he was more pass rusher than true linebacker. He was an edge setter who rushed more than he dropped in the coverage and made plays in the back end, covered tight ends, covering backs. He didn't do a lot of that. He came after and attacked the quarterback and affected the quarterback.
Hmm.
But he's definitely in that discussion. He's a multiple-time Pro Bowler, won a championship. Yeah, definitely a great player, man. Uh, but yeah, I think Frank Carr is in that discussion also for me. So I could see Robinson, Nitschke, and Hawk would be the three I went with. We're combining them.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at corner. And who do you have as your cornerback?
For corners, of course, I got Charles Woodson up there.
Got to have a guy who's defensive player of the year on the team, right?
You have to, right? And then um, going back to the early teams again, you got Herb Adderley.
Yes.
So those are my two
Yeah.
when I look at it. But yeah, defensive Charles Woodson, defensive player of the year. Only player in franchise history to lead the league in interceptions twice. Holds the record for most defensive touchdowns. So you can't. That guy was amazing.
Yeah. Charles Woodson was definitely a difference maker, right?
Right.
Herb Adderley was a great player. Also, Herb was a legend. Herb played on all of those legendary teams in the 50s, I'm sorry, in the 60s also.
Yep.
And they had a couple of, I think 3 years in a row, they played the Cowboys in the NFC Championship, or the one year was the NFL Championship. The next 2 years was the NFC Championship game. So, they developed a bit of a rivalry. And then he got traded to the Cowboys. And that year they lost the Super Bowl with him on the team. He called the team chokers. But 2 years later, he definitely was one of the leaders on the team. I think he got an interception in Super Bowl VI when they beat the Cowboys. So yeah, Herb Adderley is definitely a great player. A couple of other players, Ken Ellis, who played in the 70s and 80s, who I remember as a player, and then Al Harris, who played with Brett Favre, who I
Hmm.
think is coaching in the NFL. I think he might be the D-back coach for the Bears right now. But Al Harris was a great player for the Packers also. And then moving on to safety. This team has had some safeties. It was really tough picking safeties.
Yeah.
Tell me, who do you have as your safety?
I'm going with Leroy Butler, first defensive back in the NFL history to record 20 sacks, 20 interceptions in a career, four-time All-Pro. Just really kind of revolutionized blitzing from the safety position. So he's on my top. He's at the top for me. And then I'm going with Willie Wood, another
Okay.
Hall of Famer. Uh, just part of that Lombardi defense.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it's like close to 48, 49 interceptions for
Yes.
him in team history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my two also, man.
Okay.
Leroy Butler was a great player in the 90s, man. That guy was a beast. He plays a lot like uh, can't think of how Nick Eman for
Yep.
Seattle.
Hmm.
That was the way Leroy Butler played. He just impacted the game close to the line of scrimmage, could get back and make plays deep in the defensive backfield. But if he was close to the line of scrimmage, your quarterback had better be nervous because he could get to him quickly. And like you said, Willie Wood is a Hall of Famer, man. Uh, Darren Sharper was a great player on those teams in the 90s. I
Hmm.
thought he was in that discussion. Nick Collins was another great player who played for the Packers, multiple-time Pro Bowler. And then I didn't know that Emlyn Tunnell played for the Packers on those early Lombardi teams when Lombardi first got hired. Emlyn Tunnell is he was a giant, one of the great giants in NFL history, probably the first superstar black player in the NFL was Emlyn Tunnell.
Hmm.
And I see now that I think about it, I see the Giants connection because when Tunnell was with the Giants, uh, Lambeau not Lambeau. Lombardi would have been the offensive coordinator. No, he was.
Right.
Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator, and
Right.
Tom Landry was the defensive coordinator on those teams.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know it was Tom Landry who brought the 4-3 defense into existence. Everybody played the 5-2, and he decided to stand up the middle guard, they used to call him, and make him the middle linebacker. Oh, and did you have a kick returner or a special teams player on your team?
I did not have a special teams player this week. Did you have someone?
I only did it this week because you've surprised me both weeks by picking.
It just skipped my mind for some reason.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it the previous 2 weeks. I'm like, man, my man always picks one. So let me make sure I've looked at special teams. And hey, I have the legendary Desmond Howard, man, who
Oh yes.
had the big punt return for the touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Packers.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about Desmond Howard. That's crazy.
All right, man. So that wraps it up with our legendary team here. We didn't have very many disagreements here. I think guard. Who was the second guard? You had Jerry Kramer and somebody else.
My second guard, I had, well, we were gonna go with Marco Rivera.
Okay, okay. But
Yeah.
who was the other guard you had? I just couldn't remember that name.
Uh
Or
Josh Sinton.
oh,
Sinton.
Sinton. I didn't write his name down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rivera was a slightly better player than Sinton.
Yeah.
Man, it's cool. Okay, I can do this then. Paul Hornung has to be on the team for me. Then I could go Paul Hornung and Ahman Green over Jim Taylor. I could do that. Or did you have Jim Taylor on your team?
I had Jim Taylor on my team.
So you had Jim Taylor and Ahman Green
Right.
and would leave off Paul Hornung.
Are you gonna make a TikTok about this next week?
Yeah, no, man. We and tell us a joking because I'm still simmering, man, about that the about Carl Eller and Alan Page not being on the Vikings team. I had to make a TikTok about it, man. It was just bothering me. Let's go. Yeah, okay. Let's go. Paul Horning's got to be on it to me, man. I
Okay.
would say Horning over Taylor. So I
All
could
right.
Horning and Ahman Green.
I like it.
And then we can go with Favre at QB. You convince me. No, you haven't convinced me. I'm going with recency bias.
It's hard. It's a hard decision. I mean,
It is, man. It is. Like I said, I'll put it this. I don't feel strongly enough to fight about that one, right? I
but
just
here's the problem. So I came in hot on Favre, right? But right now I'm like Bert Starr. I think it has to be Starr. And the reason why is because Jordan Love is sitting out there.
that's that's too close of a goal for Jordan Love.
It's too close, right? So so I have to lean Starr. Yeah. We're going Starr.
All right, my man, we're going Bart Starr.
You start going through the things and your theories
When you
start to
start weighing
happen.
things right.
You start weighing things and looking at the consequences of your decisions. You're like, wait a minute, Toyotathon's gonna be a legend? Nah.
That's all it takes for him to become a legend. No, no, wait a minute.
Right, right. Yeah. Lord, my standards.
Ooh.
Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. All All right. So at defensive end, Willie Davis, Reggie White.
Yep.
Tackles. Who did you had somebody else at tackle? We both had Henry Jordan, but you had somebody else.
I had the Gravedigger.
For recency bias, and so we can have some names, people who were born after Ronald Reagan was shot, uh, so that they'll know who we're talking about. Let's go with Gilbert Brown as the second tackle there.
Yeah, and then people can look up the national anthem in Detroit. Probably one of the better ones too, like
It
legendary,
actually was.
legendary.
Ooh. And then linebacker, we had Robinson, Nitsky, and Hawk, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yep.
Uh, Corners, I think we agreed on Woodson and Herb Adderley,
Yep.
Willie Wood and Leroy Butler at safety,
That's right.
and then Desmond Howard as the kick returner.
Right. What's interesting is as we get further away from the ball, there's less talent historically, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
when we're looking at guards, tackles, D linemen,
yep.
linebackers, they're just full.
Lot of names,
A
right?
lot of names. You get the
Lot.
corners and safeties, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this is really easy.
yeah.
So,
That's why when you see teams drafting linemen all the time, and the linemen don't make the splash for the teams. But teams that are constantly drafting linemen that constantly are strong at the line of scrimmage are
right.
teams that you see year after year playing meaningful games in December.
So we didn't talk about coaches, but do we need to talk about coaches?
Um, yeah,
There's
yeah, we
only
do
two.
because they've had so many legendary coaches because they've
They've
had
had some.
three to me.
Okay, name the three. Give me the third.
Mike Holmgren. And now you didn't think I was going to say Mike McCarthy, did you?
Hmm.
I would say Mike Holmgren.
Okay. He's in the top three.
Yes, I would say he's
Okay.
in the top three.
All
He
right.
is number three. He
He's
isn't up
number
there with
three.
either Lambeau or Lombardi.
All
Those
right.
guys are at a different level. Those guys are elite. He is tier two.
There you go.
That is, they are Brady and Manning. He is Matthew Stafford.
hmm hmm So the debate is, I guess for me, the debate as far as coaches go, and I'm leaning Curly just because um, founder of the franchise, the longest tenured coach, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
The debate becomes, I guess it's not so much of a debate, but the other coach has a championship trophy named after him, right?
he does. He has a championship trophy named after him because of his significance to the league, right?
Right,
So yeah, he definitely is a legendary figure in the history of the NFL.
right,
And like you were saying about Lambeau, man, first of all, he's the winningest coach
right.
franchise history.
Yep.
He did. He is one of the founding fathers of the franchise, right?
hmm
The flipping stadium is named after him, right?
That's it. Exactly.
And he has the most championships.
Not to mention, he was a pioneer in the forward pass.
Yes, he was. Yes, he
So,
was. Yes, he was.
yeah. But yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
leaning I'm leaning Curly.
I lean to Lambeau also.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you can't, like you said, the other guy has the trophy everybody wants today is named after the other guy, right?
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
how
Right.
great this franchise has been, right?
Yeah. So it's like you're saying, it's two tiers. One is very important to the league
Yes,
and to the history of the league and the legacy of the league,
yes,
where the other is just not just, but more so important to the Packers themselves.
yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's
Well, all
cool.
right, my man, that wraps up this episode. So next week we're going to be breaking down the first place team in the division this past season, the Monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears. That ought to be interesting also, breaking down that team.
That's right.
They've been around a long time as well. And just like Curly Lambeau, Papa Bear Hallis was, the original owner of the Bears. And there's a lot of history there. So it'll be interesting looking up that franchise, breaking that down. And I'm thinking here in advance, man, it's going to be, as we've had a hard time picking players for certain positions on this team, we're going to have a hard time finding a quarterback for those.
Woo. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
I have a feeling whoever we pick will have played in the 40s. The cupboard has been bare in that organization.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But tell my man, go ahead and put a bow tie on this episode for us, sir.
We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You know, Will and I love talking football, but when we're not, we're out here helping people buy, sell, and invest. If you have questions about your next move, don't phone the ball. Hit us up for our winning game plan in real estate. Fellas, share the pod with your buddies. Ladies, share it with your crew. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't be a knucklehead. Drop us that 5-star rating.
Hey, we appreciate all the comments, folks. We appreciate everybody who listens and supports the podcast. And we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.